Good evening and welcome to the June 18th Larimer County Planning Commission meeting. My name is Patrick Rowe, and it's the tradition at the Planning Commission to start each hearing with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'd ask everybody to stand and please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm Patrick Rowe. I'm the chair of the Planning Commission. Thank you for being with us this evening. Copies of tonight's agenda are on the wall by the door. We'd ask everybody to please mute their cell phones. The members of this commission are all volunteers, and I'm going to ask each member of the commission to introduce themselves, starting with Commissioner Duffy to my right.
Good evening. My name is Connor Duffy. I've been on the Planning Commission for a little over 2.5 years, and I live in the Timnath area.
My name's Adam Eggleston. I live in the southeast Fort Collins area, and I've been on the commission for just about a year.
And I'm John Slutsky, and I live in southeast Fort Collins, and I've been on the commission since January 2022.
Good evening. My name is Jordana Barrick. I live up in the Livermore area, and I've been on the Planning Commission long enough that this is the last meeting of my second term.
Good evening. I'm John Weiss. I've been on the commission for about a year, and I live in Timnath.
Hi, I'm Shelby King. I live in LaPorte, and I've been on the commission for almost 2 years.
Hi, I'm Lisa Cholet. I live in Wellington, and I have been on the Planning Commission for almost 2 years.
Patrick Rowe, Northwest Fort Collins, and I've been on the commission for just about 4 years. Is Commissioner Cassidy, is he online?
He is not online currently, but should he appear, I will let you know.
Okay, great. Thank you. Jenny Axmaker is the planning manager. Ms. Axmaker, would you mind introducing yourself and staff in attendance this evening?
It would be my pleasure, Mr. Chair. Good evening, planning commissioners. As you said, my name is Jenny Axmaker. I am the planning manager. I am joined at the dais by Christine Luckison from our county attorney's office, Leah Schneider from our health department. We have county planner Justin Curry, and we have Christina Scrutchins from our planning admin support. Across the way, we have senior planner Samantha Mott, and we have David Pringle from our engineering department. Joining us online, we also have Connor Sheldon from our engineering department. With that, we respectfully request that all members of the public silence their electronic devices. As the chair mentioned, you can help yourself to a copy of the agenda by the doorway, or if you're joining us online, you can find that posted on our website at larimer.gov/BOCC/commissioners-meetings. The hearing procedures for tonight: for each discussion item, we will begin with a presentation from county staff, followed by a presentation from the applicant, with time for any clarifying questions from the commissioners. There will be an opportunity for any members of the public to address the commission with their comments on discussion matters at that time. Both the applicant and county staff will have an opportunity to respond to any questions or concerns raised during public testimony. The commission will then ask any remaining questions of the applicant or staff before entering into deliberations and working towards a decision on the matter. During public comment, please wait until you're recognized by the chair. Please maintain civility, refraining from audience applause, comments, or disruptions, whether positive or negative. Please make all comments to the commissioners from the podium. We do have a portable mic available if needed. Please state your name at the beginning of your comments and provide the spelling of your name if it's uncommon. Please speak directly into the microphone so that participants joining us on Zoom may hear you. For hybrid meeting attendees will be muted until they are recognized by the chair. If an online attendee wishes to speak or request a consent item to be removed, please use the raise your hand function on the Zoom control bar. Upon request, we do have assisted listening devices available for the hearing impaired. On tonight's agenda, we have 3 items on the consent agenda and no items on the discussion agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Axmaker. I have some brief comments about the role of the Planning Commission before we get started. Planning Commission acts as an advisory board to the Larimer County Commissioners. We review and make recommendations on land use issues outside of town and city boundaries. Some land use decisions will also be heard by the Board of County Commissioners. We come to these meetings and hearings unbiased and listen to staff reports, public testimony, as well as information provided by the applicant. We're the final decision-making body for location and extent reviews, as well as for amendments to and approvals of the Larimer County Master Plan, sub-area plans, and amendments. The Planning Department staff provides us with a comprehensive package of information about land use applications and plan amendments. And we really gain insights from the information and viewpoints that you all provide. So we appreciate your attendance today in person, and then also for those online. Your input is welcome and appreciated.
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind if I interrupt,
Sure.
Commissioner Cassidy is now online.
Oh, great. Yeah, and Commissioner Cassidy, if you don't mind, we're just getting started here, but if you wouldn't mind, just a brief introduction.
Hi, my name is Nick Cassidy, and I've been on the planning board since July of last year, and I live in Southwest Fort Collins.
Great, thank you. So, yeah, next order of business on our agenda is approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? And if there are no other changes, I'd entertain a motion to approve those.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes from May 21st, 2025.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please, Ms. Crutchins.
Eggleston,
Yes.
Slutsky,
Yes.
Barrick,
Yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Chalet,
Yes.
Duffy,
Yes.
Chair Rowe.
Yes. And minutes are approved. Amendments to the agenda. So far as I know, there are no amendments to the agenda, and it stands as published. As was mentioned, we have just 3 consent items. The consent agenda is really meant for non-controversial and routine items, and it allows us to spend more time on items that require discussion. So those would be the discussion items. But should any member of the audience here or online wish to pull an item, they can do that by indicating as much. And likewise, my fellow commissioners may also pull items off the agenda. If nothing is pulled off the agenda will be voted as a whole. So we'll approve or not as a slate. So yeah, do any planning commissioners wish to pull an item from the consent agenda? I see none in person, and Nick online is.
If there are any members of the public online that would like to remove a consent item to discussion, please use the raise hand function or *9 on your phone now, please. There are no hands raised.
Okay, great. And Commissioner Cassidy also doesn't have his hand.
He
hand
has
raised.
not indicated that he
Okay.
wishes to pull anything.
Great. And so same question to the audience here. If there's anybody here who wishes to pull an item, please just indicate by raising your hand. And yeah, if we don't pull any item, then this is also your only opportunity to comment on that item as well, to be clear. So seeing none. Oh, yes, sir. Do you just have a question, or do you want to pull an item? Yeah, that's no problem. Which one is that? The Hanson one. Okay. Yeah, which I think is the second one on our agenda this evening. So what we'll do is we'll pull that item off the consent calendar, and so we'll just vote on the other 2 remaining items, and that will become a discussion item, which will allow you to present your comment. So,
Check to see if anybody wants any of the other ones.
yeah, I don't know if we need to check again, but if there's anybody online. Yes, sir. In the audience, did you have one you wanted to pull as well, or?
I just had a question. What is the implication of pulling an item from the agenda? I couldn't figure that out. I don't understand.
So the consent agenda is really, so we're not going to discuss it. I'll introduce it here shortly, which I probably should have done already, but we'll vote on it as a whole, and so there will be no discussion of those items. So we've reviewed them in advance, and they've been determined by staff to be routine, non-controversial items, and so we would be voting on those as a block, kind of as the entire agenda.
And public comment would not be allowed on each individual case.
Correct.
If you wish to pull a consent agenda item, we will have a presentation from staff public comment, and then the commissioners will also comment before a vote.
Does that make sense? And if you want to speak to an item, if you want to comment on an item that's not already been pulled, which is the second item, the Hansen item, has now been pulled. But if there's another item that you wanted to speak to this evening, then you would need to pull it, or else we're going to vote on it in the absence of your comments.
Commissioner, may I make one clarification? And this is the applicant for the third item on the consent agenda. So if you vote on the consent agenda and things stay on the consent agenda, then it's generally recommended that you'll approve it as opposed to a full discussion, and then they vote on it. So staying on the consent agenda is typically a good thing.
Yeah, it implies that we're going to vote in favor of it, because if it was something that was controversial, something that we would want to discuss, we would pull it, and then we would deliberate, and then vote. So
Well, there is implications. So basically, if you don't pull it, you're better off.
potentially, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's fine. All right. We're good.
okay. And anything online while we've been discussing this? Any others that have indicated that they?
Again, if you are a member of the public that would like to remove one of the consent items, 1, 2, or 3, from consent to discussion, please use the raise hand function or *9 now. There are no hands raised.
Okay, great. Well, so I'll just introduce the consent agenda as revised, so less the Hansen item. So the first item is the Novak Planned Land Division and Rezone, file number 23 Land 349. And the second item is the Drilling Rezoning, and that's file number 24 Zone 3706. And I'd entertain a motion on that consent agenda.
I move that we approve the remaining items on the consent agenda.
I second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Barrick?
Yes.
Cassidy? Commissioner Cassidy? Cholet?
Yes.
Duffy?
Yes.
Eggleston?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Slutsky?
Yes.
Yes.
Weiss? Commissioner Cassidy?
I think.
Yes.
Chair Rowe?
Yes. And so the consent agenda stands approved. So we'll now go to our first discussion item now, which is the Hansen Conservation Development, file number 21, Land 4184. Mr. Curry is the staff on that, and could we get a brief presentation?
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners and members of the public. As mentioned, my name is Justin Curry, and I will be presenting on the Hansen Conservation Development Preliminary Plat Proposal. We have the vicinity map or location map of the proposed land division. It's this area, this blue square highlighted. It's just northwest of the existing Larimer County landfill, and then east of the Horsetooth Reservoir. The applicant is requesting a preliminary plat approval on 35 acres to create one new residential lot and one 19-acre residual lot with a 4-acre building envelope located inside that, along with an appeal to Articles 531A on public right-of-way within a land division and Article 435A2 on-site wastewater treatment system within a sanitation district. The applicants and owners are Thomas and Karen Hansen. The current zoning is zoned RR2 residential, and the utilities and access are listed below with this Fort Collins Loveland Water District. It is in the South Fort Collins Sanitation District, but again, they're proposing an on-lot septic. And then Poudre Fire Authority is the fire district, and they gain access off of Hidden Springs Lane along with Living Springs Lane, so I forgot to add that. And the lot size, again, is 35 acres. For the conservation development process, since this is a 50-50 developable land to residual land ratio based on the zoning, which in this case is RR2, and with the use of on-lot septic, a minimum of 17.5 acres must be used for residual land and may not be developed, only used as agriculture or left as open space, or undeveloped, excuse me. And then the remaining 17.5 acres can be developed. And then with this case, the building envelopes located within residual land count towards the developable area, as is the case with this application. For the appeal request, public right-of-way is required where all roads within the boundaries of land divisions in both urban and rural areas shall be public right-of-way. Engineering Department supports the appeal to allow the existing portions of Living Springs Lane and Hidden Springs Lane located on the subject property to remain a private road. The land use code only requires this section of road within a proposed subdivision to be public and cannot require the entire length outside of the proposed subdivision to change to a public road. Staff wants to avoid having a roadway become a combination of public-private ownership that would create confusion on not only ownership but also maintenance responsibilities. The second appeal request is for on-site wastewater treatment, and this requires properties with on-site septic to be located outside of urban zoning districts, growth management areas, and any sanitation district service areas. This property meets the first two requirements, as it's not an urban zoning and not within a GMA, but it is within the South Fort Collins Sanitation District boundary. However, per the sanitation district, the property is not within their current service boundary, and the district has no issue with the new lot applying for a septic permit with the county health department. Neighbor notification. So notifications were sent to property owners within 500 feet of the project site, and as of today, there were no comments received from surrounding neighbors. Here's a list of the standards for the preliminary plat review. I will not go with these in detail. They're outlined in more detail within my staff report, but if anyone from the public or the commission, planning commission wants to go over these in more detail, I'd be happy to do that. And then attached again are standards for the appeal criteria, which again are outlined in more detail in my staff report. And again, I can go over that in more detail should someone have questions. The development service team finds that the proposed request meets the review criteria of the articles listed of the Larimer County Land Use Code, and therefore development service teams recommends that the Planning Commission recommend to the Board of County Commission approval of the Hanson Conservation Development File 21 Land 4184 and appeal to Articles 531A and 435A2A of the Land Use Code, subject to the following conditions. And with that, I can happy to take any questions from the commission.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Curry. Any clarifying questions from my fellow commissioners? Staff? And if not, is the applicant here for a presentation?
The applicant is here, yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, if you don't mind stepping forward, sir, we'll take that presentation from you. And if you could introduce yourself.
My name is Thomas Hanson. My wife Karen Hanson and I are applying for the subdivision. First thing I would like to state is we've met all Larimer County requirements for the CD subdivision. The roadway meets private roadway standards, and one additional lot does not necessitate a traffic study or roadway improvements. There are 2 access points on the road from the north and the south. At the time of application, the HOA allowed subdivisions. There's been 1 previous subdivision approved by the county, and that was by Kidder in 2012. In May 2025, the Larimer County Planning Commission unanimously approved the Jacobs request for subdivision within our HOA. Our subdivision is almost identical to the Jacobs subdivision. Regarding the Hanson subdivision, The district court ruled that the HOA shall permit the Hansons to subdivide the property, and it shall not engage in any enforcement actions or take any other steps directly or indirectly to prohibit, prevent, or restrict such subdivision of the property by the Hansons or their successors. Respectfully submitted, Thomas and Karen Hanson.
Great. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So we'll now open the public hearing and we'll take public comment. And I know we've got at least one individual who wants to make public comment, but if there are others, could you raise your hand? And just seeing the one, yeah, if you'd come forward, sir, and introduce yourself. And generally we allow for, a couple minutes or so, but probably won't be too tight on it since you're the only.
Okay, thank you. I'm Bill Bird, B-I-R-D. I'm on the board for the HOA for Hidden Springs Road, and I've been asked by some of the members of the board and also by some other residents of our area to make some comments. First thing I would say, though, is that I think everything that Todd said about doing the engineering, the road work, and all of that is absolutely true. I think they've done a superb job of that. But I have been asked as a member of the board to make some comments, so hence I'm making some comments. I think there are a few key points just to make. One is that we have a neighbourhood that has very, if you like, senior folks there. They've all lived there for 15, 20 or more years, pretty much. And the community as a whole is just against subdivision. To the extent that we wrongly believed our covenants protected us from it. We wrongly believed that the county protected us from it with the plan for the hogback that was published in April of 1995, I think, that said preferential design was 35 plus acres as a minimum. And only as an alternative would clustering be allowed. That would require significant open space be preserved, however. And so when we found that this did not protect us from subdivision, we have actually amended our covenant so that now future subdivisions would be 100% banned. The Jacobs and the Hanson subdivisions predate that amendment to the covenant, and so legally we're not raising any issue there. And the HOA did lose a court case about this. And as Todd accurately said, we've done everything to facilitate this process and be involved in the design and fixing the road up and finding the appropriate agreements to do that. But we do want to flag that the development is largely against subdivision. We're also concerned. To be honest, the Jacobs getting approved, we would probably consider, if you like, unfortunate. However, the good thing with Jacobs' additional plot is that it's actually on the edge of our neighbourhood. It doesn't block anybody's view. In fact, Jacobs and one other resident are the only ones who border that, and it really is not affecting the rest of the department. The Hanson proposal here actually puts a house into the middle of an area of open space that sits between four houses, and so potentially a house, outbuildings or whatever could be built in the middle of this green area that, to be honest, does contribute to quality of life and nature and deer transition through there and so on and so forth. So we are concerned about that, and I think especially for one of our current residents, the Endeavour King residents, there will be a significant impact to their view, because any new development will go basically pretty much right in front of the Endeavour King house. We do feel that
and I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but if you could make this, I think we've gone over time, which I think we're happy to do, but...
I think we feel that there's potentially a hit to our property values by taking the lot size down and increasing the density and putting a house in this green space. So we would we think that it would be appropriate if this does go forward, that we should see a reduction in property taxes, to be honest, because we are having a hit that affects us monetary and qualitatively. And I think I can probably call it a day.
Okay. Well, yeah, we really appreciate your comments and your participation in the process. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll just confirm that there's no others online that wish to speak to this item.
If there are any members of the public online, we do have one hand raised.
This is the last. This is the public's last chance to provide testimony before we close the public hearing.
We have a hand raised.
And we have a hand raised. Okay.
Yes. Lee, you are allowed to speak. If you could please unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Yep, no worries. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can. Go ahead, sir.
So no, just following up on Bill's comment there, as far as we're the ones whose certainly property is going to be affected the most. And obviously we lost the lawsuit as a homeowners association, so that it is what it is. And certainly have no ill will towards Todd or Karen, because they've been fine to deal with. But ultimately, if we're talking about property ownership and values and those types of things, yes, could there be an opportunity where ours go down? Will it significantly affect our view? Certainly it could, but that's, I guess, how do you determine that? But I just wanted to back up Bill from that standpoint that, yes, we are the ones who are going to be affected by that the most, as well as a few others. It is what it is, right? I'm pretty sure there's nothing that anyone's going to do to stop it. I just want everyone to know our thoughts.
Well, thank you again. Yeah, we do appreciate your comments this evening. So thanks, sir. And with that, we'll close the public hearing.
Yes, and just for the record, Chair, that was Lee McEndaffer, I believe is his name.
Okay, thank you for that. And so I think we can move forward with here. So are there any questions from the Planning Commission on any of the comments that we've heard, or questions for staff or the applicant? Yeah. And again, we know that, obviously a lot of these items that come before us, you're striking a balance in terms of people's rights with land use and what's allowed legally. And, these can be very charged situations. They affect people's lives. And, again, we appreciate your comments and your participation. So.
And Chair Rode, do we want to see if there's any rebuttal from?
Sure, from the applicant. Yeah, does the applicant want to respond to anything? I kind of skipped over that but
no, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'd move into discussions, deliberations, or certainly I'd entertain a motion as well. Yeah, Commissioner Slutsky.
Well, I intend to support this, but we've seen before hearings and about subdivisions where neighbors are maybe a little more aggressive with each other than what y'all are. So I appreciate that. I think that'll go a long way to y'all figuring out something between you and not involving the county so much. And, the thing with property values is a real concern. A lot of us own property and we want to maintain our value. I think the HOA would be advised to recognize that everybody's property value would be affected by this, including Mr. Hansen's. And so it's something you all should work to, try and figure out maybe where exactly a new development house would go, or how many stories it is or whatever. But y'all want to, in the country, I'm a country boy, and you're not. Neighbors take care of each other, and you guys got to keep doing that.
Yeah, good comment. Thank you, Commissioner Slutsky. Any others? Or motion? Commissioner Barrett, do you want to make it your last evening here?
Do I want to what?
Do you want to make a motion, being it's your last?
Oh, sure. I'll make a motion. Thank you, staff. I move that the Planning Commission recommends that the Board of County Commissioners approve the Hanson Conservation Development file number 21-Land 4184 and the appeal to Article 5.3.1.a and 4.3.5.a.2.a of the Land Use Code, subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, Ms. Scrutchins.
Commissioner Duffy,
Yes.
Slutsky,
Did you see me?
Slutsky,
Yes. You're looking at me.
Barrick,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Cholet,
Yes.
Eggleston,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
Chair Rowe.
Yes. And so that motion passes. Are there any reports from staff this evening?
Yes, I have two very important reports. We will have a joint BCC and PC work session on July 9th. The topic that we'll be discussing that night will be the Larimer County On the Move Transportation Plan. So we'll have some special guests from our engineering group to provide that presentation for you. And just as a heads up, our next meeting on July, I believe it's 16th, I will not be here. However, our principal planner, Cassidy Fior, will be stepping in to help assist with that meeting as your interim staff liaison. And lastly, and certainly most importantly, I would like to thank Commissioner Barrick for her service on this committee. We have a certificate for you. We've had some dessert, but thank you. We have truly enjoyed you participating in this, and we hope that you're not a stranger.
Yeah, here. Yeah, I would just join staff in thanking her for her participation on this commission and her viewpoints and insights, especially with water and environmental issues. I've really just appreciated her perspective and always felt like you've had thoughtful comments, so thank you. And with that, we can stand adjourned.